Hey, welcome back to your favorite intermediate algebra course. We're going to look at rewriting equations and formulas today. Okay, and that's one of our objectives is to rewrite equations with more than one variable. The other is to rewrite some common formulas that you may be familiar with. So let's look at this first example here. Rewriting an equation if you have two variables. Okay, we notice we have x and y here, and we're going to solve 9y plus 4x equals 7 for y, right? So we want to solve this puppy for that variable right there. Well, as you can imagine, we're going to get rid of that 4x. We're going to take it to the other side. Right now we're adding 4x, so we got to do the opposite. We got to subtract that 4x from both sides. Okay, using the subtraction property of equality. So we have 9y equals a negative 4x plus 7. And get rid of the 9 now. So if I divide this whole side by 9, I got to divide that whole side by 9. In other words, each of those terms is the same thing. Okay, so this ends up being y equals negative 4 ninths x plus 7 ninths. Okay, so we just solve that thing for y. All right, second example is calculate the value of a variable. So we're going to solve it for y, then find the value of y for two different values of x's, for x equals 2 and negative 2. So again, solve this thing for y. So let's first get rid of that 3x. So subtract 3x, both sides. Okay, so we're going to isolate this y. We got negative 3x plus 2. And again, we want to solve for y, don't we? So let's get rid of that x that's right next to it. Right now we're taking x, we're multiplying it by y, so we got to divide. So x over x is 1. And we're going to divide over here this whole side, in other words, each term. Okay, so you can either write it like this, negative 3x over x plus 2 over x. And those are, you notice those are gone. I kind of prefer that myself, but this is okay, and so is this. Either one of those is solved for y. Okay, now let's do it for x being 2. So y equals negative 3 plus 2 over x. And then we're going to do it for x being negative 2. Y equals negative 3 plus 2 over x. That's a negative right there. All right, so negative 3 plus 2 over 2. Again, plugging in 2 for x. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So there's one answer. Now, what if x is negative 2 on the other hand? So negative 3 plus 2 over negative 2. Well, we know 2 over negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 3 plus a negative 1, negative 4, right? Some of you may just simplify a positive times a negative as a negative. So y is negative 4. Okay, let's look at some common formulas that you have been introduced to over the years in your math career. So the simple interest formula, gotta love this. All the rich people like this one. Interest, I, equals the principal P times the rate of interest times T, the time. Time typically in years. Your temperature here, Fahrenheit F is 9/5 C plus 32. Your distance formula, distance equals rate times time. Your area of a triangle, area is 1/2 base times height. Area of a rectangle, length times width. Perimeter of a rectangle, area of a trapezoid. Area of a circle, pi r squared. And finally, the circumference of a circle, the length around that circle, if you will. Circumference equals 2 pi r. Okay, so make sure you have those as reference, each of those formulas there. Now we're going to look at those formulas. We're going to rewrite them in terms of a different variable. So solve the Fahrenheit as 9/5 C plus 32, but instead of having it solve for F like it is right now, they want us to solve this thing for C instead. Well, we got to get rid of the 32, this buddy over here. Get rid of that 32 first. So we got F minus 32 is 9/5 C. And actually that kind of bothers me. I want to put the 9/5 C over here. Let me use that. Let me switch those sides. So 9/5 c equals f minus 32. Now we got to get rid of the 9/5 there. So we multiply by the reciprocal because we want this to be 1c, right? So if we multiply by the reciprocal, that'll give us a 1. You notice that'll be 45 over 45, or 1c. Multiply it this side, 5/9 times f minus 32. Okay, so we got c. C is 5/9 f minus 32. Okay, and that's actually solved for c. If you want to be all American, you can distribute that through. Oh, what would that be? 32 times 5 divided by 9 minus 160 over 9. Looks like. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. Solve I equals P times R times T, all for T this time. I equals P times R times T. That's the variable we're solving for. Well, you notice they're all being multiplied, right? So you can just divide it out. Divide out the P. And you got to do it to this side, right? But you can also divide out the R, right? Divide out the R. P over P is 1, R over R is 1. So you got I interest over the principal times your rate. That is equivalent to your time. So T equals I over PR. Okay, let's do this last one here. A equals 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times your height. And we're going to solve this thing for H. This is the area of a trapezoid. Okay, solve this for H. And you know, the way that this is presented, it kind of bothers me. I actually am going to put the 1/2. You notice it's 1/2 times this, right? Well, the associative property says we can change that order, so I'm actually going to put it like this, because I like this notation better for the area of a trapezoid. So 1/2 times H equals base 1 plus base 2, and don't forget, we're solving this puppy for H, right? Well, right now, you notice, again, everything's being multiplied. I'm going to get rid of that 1/2 first of all. That thing's going to annoy me. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, 2 over 1. So 2a is H base 1 plus base 2. Okay? Again, I'm solving for H, so I got to get rid of that base 1 plus base 2. Well, you notice it's all grouped together right now. H times whatever base 1 plus base 2 is. So if I just divide out base 1 plus base 2, think of that as a quantity. Do it to the other side. Guess what? I have it. So H is 2 times the area all over base 1 plus base 2, and I just used all my properties to do that, right? First one is the multiplication property of equality, and then the division property of equality. Okay, see you guys in class.